Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. We wanted to talk about the Planet Stewards program, which Nesta is shepherding the handover, and we appreciate that from NOAA. So we want to talk about the process, give you some examples, have you do a little bit of brainstorming about what might be appropriate for you and your students and your community. Maybe look at things a little bit differently than we did when we were just classroom teachers, because we can also pull in a lot of community members with this. And then go through the website so you're familiar with it, and have some Q&A at the end, but we can also do it during the session too. Please drop any questions you have in the chat box, and Peg will alert me to that. Peg, I have a favor. Could you please drop in the link for our Nesta website in general, and then the Planet Stewards one? That would be appreciated. So, okay. We're going to see, we love technology when it works. There we go. All right, so obviously we're doing this because we want to make a difference in the health of our planet, and we want our students to realize that they can make a difference, that they can contribute it in a positive way here. So there are 4 little questions. If you'll take a minute to just read through those. And if you don't mind dropping some ideas maybe in the chat box, that'd be great. So what are some problems that maybe your area has that your students might be interested in? The other thing to think about here too is, what kind of resources do you need? I don't know about you, but I was so used to, and married to a retired teacher as well, we were so used to supplying all of our own resources. But with this award, if you're to be one of the 10 recipients of it, that's what the budget is for, to be able to expand and get the materials that you need. So what are some places that you might look for resources that you might not typically look for from your classroom? And go ahead, if you can, jot any ideas down there about any of these questions as we go along. And Peg, I'm going to tell you right now that my screen is freezing as far as advancing my slides. I'm going to stop sharing and reshare again, okay? Right. Oh yeah, the algal blooms. That's tough, isn't it? The other thing too, again, I think I'd like us to really concentrate on this, and with the examples that we're going to talk about, is who else can be involved in your project that we might not typically have in our classroom. All right. We love technology. There we go. All right, so let's get to why we're here. 10 projects will be funded this year, up to 10 projects, and each project is eligible for up to $5,000. So teachers, you can make this stretch really far, but don't feel that you can't apply if you only need to spend $3,000 worth of equipment and supplies that you need. All right, Pacific time, midnight, December 15th is when the information, all of your application needs to be submitted. And we will see you on Dr. Seuss's birthday, March 2nd. We will inform you one way or the other. And then again, use that planetstewards.nestanet.org, and that will be my email that will come to me with any questions that you have along the way. And please feel free to share this with lots of different people and contacts that you have within your networks. We'd appreciate that. All right, so why do we want to do this? We, in general, earlier I said that, we want to take care of our planet. We want to take care of our world. But what we're looking at is scientific literacy. So both educators as well as students can do each of these three things. And you can see with these three pictures that are listed here, if you are in an NGSS state, it fits right in with the philosophy of teaching science via NGSS. But we want them to be able to understand the concepts. And being a person who was from Illinois originally, so yes, we had that great Lake Michigan right there and the mighty Mississippi and some other incredible rivers. I sometimes was a little bit worried about applying for a PlanetStewards award because we were somewhat landlocked. We didn't have access to the ocean. But know that we're looking at earth science. What can we do? It doesn't have to be specifically that you're along an ocean coastline to apply. Okay. The middle one right there is so critical in today's world, isn't it? To be able to look at the information and be able to evaluate if it's there and make their informed and responsible decisions. And again, we want the students to know that they do have some power, some authority, some to be able to make these decisions and get involved. Okay, so what's in it for you? What's in it for your students? You can take a look there. These are based on feedback that we've received over the many years of the project from both the students and the educators. And when we say educators, we're talking about formal classroom teachers, we're talking about informal educator settings, and as well as different community organizations might be able to apply for this. And to me, one of the key things is if you look at the first bullet point under the project participants, they feel that they can make a difference, and that just helps them out so much. Okay. All right, so here's one example that we wanted to share this evening with you. And you can peruse through the slide here. And you'll notice that the author of the article, because when you do receive one of these awards, you'll be writing an article that will be published in the Test magazine, of which Peg is the editor. You'll notice that that doesn't say like a school particularly after it, right? This organization did partner with a school to help out in the local area. And even though this is located near some major water, their project wasn't based on or the requirement that you had, let's say a Great Lake, that you had some ocean coastline with you, that they did. I also like this because it shows, particularly if you look at the last bullet point, not only did the students do the project in this school setting, but they went ahead and they put their signage up so that they could explain to the community why it was important for this project to occur. So again, pulling in that community and meeting a need of the community, connecting the school to the community. Okay. Pictures, pictures, pictures. You'll see lots of pictures. So I just want to make sure that, you know, if you are going to apply for this, that you're okay taking the pictures and make sure that you gain the permissions. We can help you with that as well that are needed for the project report. Okay, this one I liked and wanted to highlight it because it was a little bit different than some of the other ones. This one did not bring in outside people. It is within a school. And they didn't leave their school grounds at all, because I know sometimes that can be difficult or not an option for you to do. But it is also interdisciplinary and it's also multi-grade level. So we have sixth graders as well as two specific grade levels out of high school. We had a math teacher, a science teacher, an AP teacher that worked together to do this. The other thing that I really liked about this project was it showed something about carbon sequestration, which can be confusing to students. It can be sometimes difficult to come up with a project title. So peruse these test magazines, past issues, and we'll show you where they're all linked in a little bit. But peruse those because they might give you some starting points. I wanted to highlight this one. Again, this is one that's the Alliance, the Youth Environmental Alliance in this area of the country, in Florida, I believe it was, and the schools that they worked with. What I like though is if you take a look at that insert there with the box, the data table, so to speak, you have the different topics that they pulled in. Those topics were not necessarily front and center in the project, but they really related to what the students were doing so that they could learn more about the whole process and a bigger picture. So interdisciplinary again. And if you take a look at that, those are all the different, presenter's profession column, the different people that they brought in from the community to help them out. Now, if somebody can physically come to the school or you can physically visit where that person works, that's great. But don't forget, sometimes emailing back and forth will work out well. Obviously, Zoom calls, chats, etc., with your students. But there are lots of people out there that are willing and so excited to help out our students. So please don't forget to try to go outside of your school as well. And I would just say, if you're going to bring in a guest speaker, again, check with your school district to make sure that all your I's are dotted and T's are crossed as far as that being able to bring that person in to be in your classroom with your students. Okay. All right, so those were some highlighted projects. Peg's dropped a couple links in the chat there, and we'll take a look at this again. But all of these back issues of Test Magazine are available for you in the part that deals with just the Planet Stewards. These in particular have Planet Stewards projects that have been funded in the past. So you can get some good ideas. You can also see that as a recipient of this, you'll do a publication, you'll write an article, and Peg is really good at helping coach you through. I thank you for all your help along the way, Peg. But you can see there are lots of different ways to go about collecting data, lots of different ways to get your students involved, lots of different ways to share the information, etc. So it's just a really great place to peruse, not only for this project, but I also want to stress there might be some really great ideas you can take back into your own classroom. Okay. Peg, anything else you want to jump in and add that before we kind of go on to the next phase of the presentation?
In the past, NOAA has really wanted to help teachers publish their work. And so they have actually sponsored the publication of these as a print edition. And then we distribute those to members. But the nice thing is having it in print, you can also share it with colleagues and folks in your community whom you have worked with and say, look, this is our project. And we, and this was published in a journal. And this is one of the few ways that I think that classroom teachers can actually get published. And we've had some really interesting, very diverse projects in the past. If you look at those, they're all online and they're open access because NOAA paid for the open access of all of these issues. So you're welcome to download and use as you need.
Thanks, Peg. And I think that publication for classroom teachers, that's just such a great professional goal to have and such an incredible professional experience that will open up some other doors and avenues if you choose to follow those paths too. So, okay, very good. All right, so some generic, I shouldn't say, some general information, things to pull out about those projects. Now let's go ahead and let's talk about this year's application process and this year's focus. Okay, so you can see carbon footprint reduction, carbon sequestration, resilience, restoration, and marine debris and waste reduction. Okay, so your project needs to fit within one of these categories. And again, if you're having trouble coming up, maybe you want to do something, I'll pick on the carbon sequestration because in Illinois where I lived, not too far west of us, lots of farming. And we know in prairie, we know what roots of plants can do to help absorb and maintain that carbon. So you might want to peruse some of those articles again, just to see, hey, where would my idea fit? And maybe it will spark something as well. Okay, Peg had dropped this into the chat, right, Peg? Okay. So what we're going to do is go through each of these 5 little icons right here and see what they're all about. All right, so first of all, eligibility. Okay, we've had a couple questions so far, and you need to, you are free to partner with somebody else, another organization within your community. Maybe there's something, you have a classroom, I don't know, in the center of the country, and you're going to work with somebody who lives on the Northwest coast, etc. You can do that. If there's anybody who's wanting to do something with someone from another country, we ask that the NGO, that's where some people have wanted to work with, is from the States, and that your students and or community need to be involved. And then you can do some partnering with people elsewhere in the world. The funds have to be applied directly toward the project. There's a listing, there are criteria that show specifically what they can support and what they can't support. And you can see down there, salaries. Sometimes the substitute fee might be able to be paid for you if you're within the classroom. If you're going to go to a conference, we can't support that to gain knowledge. It's very important to go to those conferences, but we cannot support you in that. And then some of the overhead costs, we are unable to, but it's a pretty wide range. So again, think of some of the things that maybe you have hesitated to use just because it would break your budget for the year, if you even had a budget. So think outside of the box when it comes to that. But need to be a nonprofit organization. And again, I want to stress formal as well as informal educators. Okay. And we've had some questions as far as the funds. As soon as the awards are announced and we get the proper paperwork from you, we will get the funds dispersed to you as soon as possible. There's not necessarily like, let's say April 17th is when we send out all the checks, etc. You know what, Peg, I'm going to go back here for just a minute because I just thought we've also had a lot of questions about funding. Funding can be particular, shall we say. It can be difficult sometimes. So if you are partnering with somebody else, maybe within your community, another organization, another science society, etc., that's all right if the funding can go to them. If it's your school will not allow you, or they don't have the time, the bandwidth to go ahead and maintain the process of record keeping for where the funds are sent. But as long as the funds are spent on the project. Peg, I don't know if I said that well or not. You want to chime in on that?
No, I think that, the funding is pretty wide open, because we want to support these projects.
Yes.
And there are different requirements for each project. And so, if you have questions, you can just ask either,
Yes.
During the application period, or, once, if you get the award and you still have a question, we can work with you on whether that's appropriate or not. In most cases, we're going to let you probably, use the funds as you need to get the project done. So, Liz, I was just going to ask you to change the
Yes.
display settings on your slideshow, because we're
Oh,
seeing next
the whole
slide
thing?
and notes.
Oh, that is not good. So let me
So let's go. And I think you can change the display settings just to show the slide itself.
that should be fine. Yes, I would prefer that.
Yeah.
Well,
Then it makes the text for some of us old fogies. We like to see bigger text.
all right. Well, talk amongst yourselves for a moment, please, because PowerPoint just quit for me.
So Michael had a question about wondering if he could apply for a group of teachers, and that would be intriguing. We need to have the money funneled through a school or a nonprofit, and so it can't go to an individual. So that would have to be a partnership situation. So.
All right, Peg, it is not going to allow me to do that.
Okay, well then just put it back to where it was. We'll just keep going.
Okay.
All right.
Please
All right.
hold, please keep going. Yeah.
We'll keep going.
Okay. And we had left off on
Slide 12, I believe.
Okay, here we go. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. All right. All right. So again, these are some
Screen,
projects. Pardon me?
share screen.
Wow, 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 wow. So sorry.
I should just let you keep going.
Okay,
Oh,
what do
look
we?
at that. Good job.
All right, are we seeing just the one
We're
screen
seeing
then?
we're seeing the whole screen and nothing but the screen. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Very good. All right. I am just not seeing that.
You're not
All
seeing your
right.
own screen?
I'm going to keep. Yeah, I'm going to keep talking, and so sorry about this. We're going to try it a different way. Did it come up for you yet, Peg?
It came up before and now it's gone.
Okay.
There it is. Can you see it now?
Yes. There we go. There we go.
Okay. Yep.
Right. Yeah, and in the meantime, I was looking in the chat, and yeah, the whole idea of the salt and what that does to the water, etc. That's interesting. That's a really good one too. Okay, so here are just some examples with those focus areas that were on a couple slides ago in the green rectangles. Um, and just some general ideas that you might be able to take a look at again. I'm not quite sure what's happening in your area and what's appropriate in your area. I would also just caution you, just speaking from experience, we had picked out something, I will say, under the carbon footprint reduction area at my school one time, not associated with PlanetStewards, but with another organization that was willing to fund it. And we had it all set to go. And at the last minute, the district said no, because something that we had to have outside, some kind of container, was considered an attractive nuisance by the new insurance company for the district. So just double check with whoever has that authority to make sure that you are within the confines of the project. Because our students were all set and all excited. And unfortunately, we had to be the bearers of some bad news and revise it quite a bit. And so okay. Habitat conservation and restoration is just incredible. So much going on, particularly with invasive species, etc. And again, some of these that we list are water-based, but don't forget, if you are in an urban area, there are lots of things you can do. If you're in a rural area too, lots of things that you can do. All right. Resilience. Oh my gosh, right? Think of it. That's such a big thing that we talk about a lot. And one of the things that, that I had not thought about, and somebody had suggested when a team and I were working on this, is bringing in some people with insurance experience. And I was working with a high school group, and once they had listened to that person explain about like why your parents' insurance is going up in this area, they got really motivated and came up with some problems that they really wanted to solve in their community that impacted their parents and their families. Okay. Peg, I didn't know if you want to jump in on this one that really quickly about removing the debris, the marine debris you had talked about. Was it
Yeah, we've had
Mylar?
a lot of we've had a lot of coastal folks and people in Hawaii and American Samoa and Puerto Rico actually have worked on these projects. So if you're in a coastal community, marine debris and waste reduction is a great idea. I would also say that waste reduction and water pollution might fit within this category as well. I'm just thinking of the salt pollution. We have a big problem here in Iowa with nitrates. And so all of that does go down into the Gulf of Mexico. So it becomes an issue then for somebody downstream. So we're very interested in helping you make connections to your local population, but helping students see the larger connection to the bigger world and how they can have an impact. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, and we had a similar thing in Illinois too with most people wanted to blame ag, but really what it was more the suburban lawn fertilizing that was going on. And then also too with Wisconsin, Indiana, and Illinois, someone had mentioned the algal blooms with the beaches being closed, but with the beaches around the Great Lakes and the fishing area, with our sewage treatment plants and that stuff affecting not just us, but the people across the lake. So again, kind of think outside the traditional box. Okay. Also, in this focus area and past projects, besides being able to look at the test magazines, there are some links here that are live that you can take a look at and get more information about what other people have thought about projects as far as ideas. Okay, so these are some of the ideas that have been embraced before. And we tried to list several ideas that might uh, impact you no matter where you are geographically that you have. Okay. All right. The educational resources that we have are phenomenal. If you go to this link, you'll notice that there is the NOAA logo up on the upper left-hand side. And you'll also notice that orange square or rectangle right there right now during the shutdown. You will see that on the government sites. But if you find something that you're really interested in, we strongly suggest that if you can download it, you might want to do that now as you go along because, the sites aren't being maintained right now and information is constantly changing on these websites. Pick, I don't know if there's anything else you want to jump in and say about that or.
Yeah, there's a lot of environmental sites are in flux. And so some things are there for today and gone tomorrow. And if you find a particular resource or data set that you like, you should probably save it. If you have trouble finding something that you remember you saw, ask around. We'll see if we can help you find that resource.
Okay, very good. Very good. Thanks, Ted. Okay. And then again, I know we've looked at this before, but we're just trying to go through each of the icons there to let you know what's there. We will get this webinar put up. Give us a few days to get that up. But again, all that archived information and that fall 2025 issue is currently available. So that's a little bit out of date right there. So, okay. All right. Did you ever give your students a rubric ahead of time? And someone chose to follow it. Someone thought, oh, it's just a guideline, a suggestion, or, it's just a nice piece of paper or a nice file to take a peek at, right? Please, when you go through these things, look at them very carefully. So when you go to the application and notice the icon there has changed, you will find a checklist. That checklist can seem, I'll be honest, the first time I saw it, daunting, but there is a reason why we put it together that way so that hopefully you have every single thing that you need in the order that you need to do it, a logical order to get to the end product, which is when you submit your application, okay? The rubric can also look a bit tedious or overwhelming, but we try to really spell out the specifics that are going to make your project stand out among all the applicants that we get. And please, we suggest that if you really want a great chance of getting funded, that you aim for the higher end of the rubric to kind of go above and beyond to make it stand out. The project timeline. I want to chat a little bit about that. So there's a timeline for when things need to be submitted, et cetera, et cetera. But it is 2025 right now. The monies and awards will not be announced until 2026. Your project, make sure I say this correctly, needs to be completed by the end of the 2026-2027 school year. So I'll say it again. Your project needs to be completed by the end of the 2026-2027 school year. Now, if your project is done by the beginning of 2027, that's fine. Right? So just know that you have more time than it might seem like because of the calendar year that we're working with. Right. Okay. So when you get here, you can see a little bit of the page there. the project timeline, the budget worksheet. Again, the budget worksheet, please, 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 please make sure that you think carefully, so that you're not putting things out of your pocket that the funds could support. Okay, we'd like you to do that. But you will see that toward the bottom there, at the very bottom, there's a Google form to submit for your actual application. We suggest that you look at it ahead of time. You might even want to jot your ideas down ahead of time so that you can just go ahead and pop them in order. But it will open up the Google page for you to do that on, and then you'll hit submit and everything will be entered in. Okay.
So and Liz, the nice thing
Yeah.
about the checklist is that we have, I would download the checklist as a
Yes.
Google Doc or a Word doc or something, put
Mhm.
all of your text and narratives in those sections on the checklist. Then all you have to do is copy and paste onto the Google form, because the Google form is not going to allow you to make changes. So use the checklist as your pre-application, and then transfer, copy and paste onto the Google form when you're ready. And it should be a piece of cake after that.
Thank you, Peg. That's a great idea to help us out. So. All right, and then again, there's an address if you have any questions. Those emails would come to me, and if it's something in particular that I can't answer, I will get the expert to help us answer it correctly and help you move along on your process. And we really, really hope that you will apply. And this is a great thing if it's appropriate. You have a teammate, somebody else in the school that you can work with as well. It's not a difficult process, but it is a thorough process to go ahead and fill out. I think complete this application. And then just a quick plug for Nesta. It's an incredible group run by volunteers, retired, as well as people who are still active in the classroom or informal settings, whatever your classroom is. But I know you are all members, but please spread the word about this incredible group. And that is all I have. So I am going to stop sharing here and see what
And
kind
we
of
have a
questions
few, we do have a few
you've
questions we want to
good.
chat about, but I'm going to stop
Yes,
the recording
perfect.
right now. Stop recording.